Right now we are talking my language. One of the most important organisations involved in South African rugby is the Players Fund. Now the fund aims to help all local rugby players who have sustained a disabling and life-changing injury while participating in the beautiful game of rugby. And to chat about the important work that the Players Fund does and some very exciting news on their calendar this morning, we are joined by Gail, Murray and Chris. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We've already gotten into a discussion. There could be hours spent talking about the value of what you guys do, but maybe Gail, you can break it down for us. What do you actually do? How do you support local rugby?
Well, thank you for having us on your show this morning.
Absolute pleasure.
As you know, we're a charity and we exist for rugby players in South Africa who've had life-changing injuries, and that is at all levels of the game, at school, club, national, provincial level, informal rugby. And a catastrophic injury is where someone's had a life-changing injury, and generally that is either a neck injury, which results in a spinal cord injury, which is disabling. They have mobility challenges, or a severe head injury, which is also disabling.
Murray, maybe you can break it down for me, because I think there has to be a huge amount of personal involvement and investment in these structures. You must have come across some amazing stories. How has this changed your perception of life?
You know, it's quite interesting. I mean, we've all had, when you kind of grow up playing rugby and you're kind of involved in just anything rugby, and these events kind of come across, you're always going to go, oh, you know, it's never us, it's never me, it's never actually involves you until it actually happens. And the social team that all of us played for, it was very much the same thing. And a couple of years ago, one of the guys actually did have a critical injury. And he's fortunately now actually on the mend, he's getting better, but he will, you know, it's hurt him a lot.
Life, yeah.
Yeah, so we've all seen a lot of fun, like incredible stories, guys kind of pulling themselves back and getting themselves going again, because it's very, very hard, both physically and emotionally.
And financially, and I think that's Absolutely. Where the fund really comes in. And Chris, I'm going to put this to you. Player for Players auction. I think any sports fanatic like myself is desperate to get in on something like that, because I would assume there's some amazing memorabilia up for grabs. Talk us through the event. What's the aim there?
Yeah. Well, we're having our 8th annual fundraiser this Saturday at Kelvin Grove. So we've got some really great brands involved. We've got Red Bull, Adidas, SA Rugby, the Lions, and got some really great items. We've got a Red Bull airplane flip as one of our big ticket items for this Saturday. So yeah, so if you want to get involved, email dinner@playersforplayers.co.za and get involved. We've got this great prize. You can see our Players for Players page on Facebook. And we've got 20 auction items. We've got loads of raffle items. So we're going to raise a lot of money for the Players Fund this year.
I saw Eben, the Titanic figure of Eben there. A lot of the Springboks are very heavily involved post-career as well in these sorts of initiatives. Which big-name players are connected to the fund?
Well, we are the charity of the Springboks, so we're very fortunate to have them at our disposal. Awesome. And it's a phone call, literally. Please come and help us, visit a patient in hospital, and they're there. They're always supportive of us. And every year we do a function with them where they're all there. This year we did a Bok Braai in Johannesburg, and it was the most fantastic evening. Everyone sort of dropped off their number ones and came on with chinos and a T-shirt, and really enjoyed the evening with a group of about 300 guests. Wow. And yeah, we're very fortunate to have the Springboks on board. Just recently we had an injury who was in Krirzinger Hospital, and it was a call to My Players, which is the professional arm of the Springbok. It's a foundation with 4 players, by players, and Skara Indabeni and Dylan Lates came along and visited our patient in hospital. So that's the sort of support that we really value.
Oh man, well, I think most important here is our support, so hopefully people will really latch onto this. Some amazing prizes up for grabs. Guys, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for the work that you're doing as someone who is very emotionally invested in rugby, as you can see. What you do is absolutely amazing, and you guys can get all of those details at dinner@playersforplayers.co.za.